Hello and welcome back to the channel, and thank you very much for joining me in another of my interviews. Now today we know that child abuse is rife at the moment. It is a growing problem. A lot of it is happening behind closed doors. Children are being abused by family members and other relations. Of course, it goes on in other strange and ritual fraternities in which children are being spirited away, and children in homes and places like that. We've heard, of course, about gang rapes and all of these sort of things. It's very difficult to approach this subject and talk about it in an open fashion because people find it very, very difficult. Now, today I'm going to be talking to a lady who's organising a march in Cornwall, who is trying to bring awareness to the problems of children being abused. And unfortunately, I've recorded this and Windows Update comes along and reset some of the settings so that many of, all my bits, you couldn't hear me. So I'm completely muted. So ordinarily I ask a number of questions to the lady in question, Faye, who will be joining me in a second, but then it cuts back to me and I'm silent. So in order to get this out and not to ask poor Faye to have to do it all over again, I've had to effectively put all her answers one after the other. So please forgive the nature of this recording, but in order to get what she wants to get out, I've basically edited all my silent bits out so that we only hear Faye. I think that's fair, and I'll pop back at the end of it to finish off with. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Faye. She's organising the march in Truro from the cathedral down to Lemon Key, but I'll let her tell us all about it. But first of all, I started asking how she got involved in this whole situation.
We originally heard from about the Million Man March. I was sent an article about it, hearing that you could do the local marches. And when Natalie was explaining it, it was it's very close to my heart and quite personal. And I really wanted to get involved. So I've put a post out asking if anyone else in the area would be interested too. And then the next thing I was sort of organising it, which was a bit daunting, as I've never done anything like that before. But the volunteers that have come forward to do this are just the most incredible, beautiful, like warrior women you've ever met. And it's been amazing to work alongside them and to hear their reasons behind joining. I mean, child abuse is so rife. I think I wrote down the statistic, was it that 38% uprise in about 2014-15? So I imagine that figure is still rising. And the fact that a lot of the people that are going to court for this, if it makes it to court, because the majority of child abuse, I think I can't remember the statistic, it was really high without actually checking, for how many don't actually report the child abuse. The amount of that actually get convicted and that don't just walk away with a community order is beyond a joke. I was given the example of the justice symbol, and it's got the weights with the woman. And I was saying, I can remember learning at university the reason behind that symbol. It's meant to mean that the punishment matches the crime, because obviously we had people being stoned and various torture methods that were inhumane and whatever else, like people chopped hands off for stealing a loaf of bread, for example. We've now got people that are walking away from, whether it be watching, we say child pornography, it's child rape. Do you know what I mean? But they're watching child rape, they're funding that thing, and they're walking away from court with nothing more than a slap on the wrist, a community order, something like that. And then we've got people sharing a post and being put in prison. Now this is them scales are just like off the scale. I don't know if you can call it two-tier, but it's definitely, there's something wrong in the system. And when I was looking, obviously it's something that I'm quite passionate about, and it's something I've been looking into for a lot of years, probably to understand my own childhood. So it's something that I've looked into and had quite a few deep dives. But the fact of what's happening at the moment is it's so quiet and so many people are not coming forward. And when I was looking into it, the reasoning being is because I was looking at various different survivors' stories, so to find out the reason why, they're not coming forward. And it's often a lack of trust in the police. These women go into the police and they're being either dismissed, they're being told they're liars. Um, just and some of them even seem to be, can I say, immune, like they can't be touched. There's doesn't seem to be any outcome for their cases, especially high prolific cases, high profile cases. And this is something that I'm very passionate about that needs to change. We have got I was reading the average age for a child sexual abuse victim to speak about what happened to them is 52. So we're talking about a hell of a lot of children that are not speaking up. And that includes sort of like a vast array of people, but also the fact that they're being missed. I mean, we've got so many cases like Baby P. There was another girl just recently. They've had opportunities to intervene, or they've had signs, and they've whatever they've failed child. The child for whatever reason has ended up either being abused or worse, and this needs to stop. The system, if I be really honest, has been infiltrated with people that haven't got good intentions, or at least are looking away or keeping silent when they are seeing things that they should report. And on top of that, if schools and such like are missing them, doctors, dentists, whatever it is that, whether they're home educated or not, because I know home education's come under fire, hasn't it, just recently? Yeah. And instead of looking at the fact of the failings of what they failed that child for, where they missed and stuff like that, they attacked the home education community, saying it's because the child was home educated. And we all know perfectly well, yes, home education can be used as a means to keep it away from people's eyes. But there's plenty of school cases as well. And even just looking into this, I can remember looking at signs of child sexual abuse, because obviously the training is very much needed. Signs of child sexual abuse, and even the fact of like talking about sex with your child, which then touched on the subject of like who is talking to our children about sex. And it's just, and there was also a very, if I just want to get the right, there's an investigation going off at the moment. If I can just find the details, so I don't give you the wrong name to say. We've got, where I find it, the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse in England and Wales is investigating claims against local authorities, religious organisations, the armed forces, and public and private institutions, as well as people in the public eye. Now, when I read that, I've had a glance over it, I was quite shocked that obviously they've just done a handful of whoever's come forward, and then they've done their report on it for the numbers that they've got, that schools came at the top. And also that there was looking into the MPs. Was it? I'm trying to think how many it was. Is it 50? I'm trying to think of the number. Just find it. Sorry, I've wrote stuff down so I don't give you the wrong details. Labour 20, Labour 25 plus 51. Very interesting. And that lists all the people to do with Labour MPs associated with the Labour Party that have been committed of sex crimes against children, whether that be child pornography or right up to rape. And when I looked into it, it was scary. These are like head of safeguarding. Well, this says that it takes a village to raise a child. And at the moment now, we've got people that don't know their next door neighbour. They don't know what they're called. They don't speak to them. Do you know what I mean? We've lost that community spirit. And I think with that community spirit, you've got the fact that they will keep an eye out for your child. They will notice if something's amiss. Do you know, it's just, we desperately need that back. Another statistic I was looking at, there was 9 out of 10 girls at school said they'd either been sent dick pics, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, or something of a sexual nature. 9 out of 10 children of like high school age, 9 out of 10. Do you know? So we've got, and the porn, I know it's not all that, but it's basically glorified human trafficking. Do you know what I mean? A lot of them women are not doing it of their own free will. A lot of them are human trafficking. I'm not saying all of them, there will be some in there of their own free will, but from what I've looked at, there's a hell of a lot of sexual abuse within the human trafficking. So then we've got that being shown to our children, not like personally shown, but they're getting to see it. And this, yeah, and the thing is these women are being abused, and this is then getting recreated by our children. That they're copy, that's normal, that, well, that's, I think is normal. And this is I think porn's got a lot to answer to, a hell of a lot to answer to. I'd quite happily ban it if I could, just so to be fair. I really would. I think it's given a completely messed up view of what like sexual relations should be, a romantic sort of coupling of two people. And this is not what's being shown at all. It's far from that. The love seems to have gone out of it, and it's very almost prime. I don't know, primoral. I don't know how to explain it. And yes, it's happening in Truro. We're marching from the cathedral, very apt place to march from, knowing that the church has been implicated. Not all churches, I'll just put that in there, but so we're marching from the church to the Lemon Quay, where we're hoping, well, we will be having, should I say, speakers at the end. I think it's massively important that the truth be aired, that people find this topic quite uncomfortable. And I'm sorry, but I think it's time for people to get uncomfortable. We can't just like turn a blind eye to this. More, I can't remember that there was something that I was listening to. So many children, if I've got it written down just here, um, 2+ children forced into slavery every minute. Do you know what I mean? It's this is beyond, this is the new pandemic. This is, or if you want to call the economy the pandemic, but do you know what I mean? This is the pandemic. This needs dealing with. This needs intervention, and I do seriously worry that the people that are meant to help these children aren't, and they're failing the children for whatever reason, whether they're complicit, involved, or just turning a blind eye, or just being very useless at their job and not what is it I read? The top one for a child sex abuse victim to come forward is having someone they trust. And now we've got police officers, or I'm not saying all police officers, I'm not saying all social workers, but we've got kids not being believed. We've got them being dismissed. We've got them not being able to trust the very authorities. And that there was a really horrible statistic that very worryingly, the year that it happened as well, 1 in 3 trafficked children went missing from local authority care in 2020. Funny that, isn't it? 2020. That's 31%. 31% of the trafficked children in care went missing. It's not overly far because we've tried to sort of accommodate it. I mean, obviously we could have maybe done it a bit longer, but we've got some people that aren't able-bodied, and we've also the children. We're marching for the children. Children are invited to come along with their mums and their aunties, because we've got mums, aunties, grandmas, from a wide range of women, and I think there's a hell of a lot of power with like people coming together. I mean, deep down, I'd love to do the protest and have massive changes come from sorry, I shouldn't call it protest, but march. But I don't know whether that'll happen or not. But I know that when I've been to protests in the past, when these people that get it come together with that passion, and we all come together and we're united, the energy is just amazing for one. And for two, I'm listening to stories of people doing amazing things behind the scenes. And even if only 1 or 2 ears, I mean, hopefully more, but even if only 1 or 2 ears listen and take on board what we're trying to like, the magnitude of what we're trying to let people know, this is massive. This is, and it's scarily quiet, like it's not heard about. If they just took that in and then told their friends and family, that's a ripple effect that we'll maybe not know about, but is amazing. So I hold hope that we can just reach a few ears and a few people will listen to what we've got to say. What we got told for the male ones from the main organizer was we could have speakers, we've got security, we've got, so they've got roles, they could cheer us on from the sidelines and what have you. But the reason, so obviously we can't like what you keep, make everyone happy in that scenario. But with the women, we've got to take into account that a lot of the women are marching are going to have male perpetrators as the reason they're marching. And so we just wanted to make it so that it was a safer environment, that they could feel that every woman, even if they've been a victim of male perpetrator violence of whatever sort, that they could feel comfortable walking alongside us. And I'm hoping that the men can understand that. I mean, we're welcoming men, do you know what I mean? It's just not in the march. I think there has been talks of trying to create a million men march, so that the men can do their own. I don't know how well that's took off, but I know that was a comment that was put out there that I thought was a really good idea, because we're all, as many people that voice this, to get this out to people to listen to how terrible it is. Some of these children aren't surviving childhood. Some of these children are taking their own lives. Do you know what I mean? They're not even making it to adulthood, and they're probably not even going to be statistics because majority of it is silent. No one knows about it. And so this is the statistics I've got, it's worse. And that's the worrying thing because I can't remember if I can, was it night? Try and find it. 86% of child sexual abusers cases go unreported altogether. Yeah, that's when you realise that the statistics I'm giving you are just a smidgen of what's really going off.
So thank you so much, Faye, for coming on the show and talking to me about this very serious subject. As I mentioned at the beginning, if you saw the cuts just seemed a little bit strange, that's because all my questions were mute, thanks to Windows Update going on just before recording, and I hadn't noticed the microphone had been switched to a different channel, which makes life very difficult. So I've obviously edited this up together, but you've got the gist. So big thanks to Faye for coming on the show today and being brave enough to talk about this. And just to recap then, the march, it's a women's march only, although men, at the other end, there's plenty of things for them to get involved with, is on the 17th of February. So that's coming up fairly soon, 17th of February, to meet at midday, or at least it starts at midday, from the cathedral in Truro down to Lemon Key. So best to arrive by 11:30. Anybody can take part in it. If you're a woman, you can be in the march, and if you're a bloke, you can beat down the other end and support and cheer them on from the side. Child abuse is a terrible and nasty thing, and it would be lovely to see rid of it, but we need to make awareness, obviously, of this to know that it's going on, and often behind closed doors, very silently, and again, often by relations. So if you want to get involved, please do. Big thanks to Faye for coming on and being brave enough to talk about it. She was quite nervous. And I will be back, hopefully, with better sound and audio working properly on more interviews in due course. And in the meantime, of course, there's my daily monologues. Thanks so much for getting involved. Take care and bye for now.